I'd like to invite our panelists. I'm so excited to have the three of you here together today. And the panelists that we have are Faith Dempster, and Faith is Director of Workforce Development for the BC Construction Association. So Faith, I'm thrilled that you're here. Faith manages the Skilled Trades Employment Program, which is also known as STEP, and it helps job seekers from equity deserving groups. And so those are folks that in our research would have been identified typically as underrepresented in the workplace, saying they need a little bit of extra support in order to get the right employment. And so helping people from those groups find skilled trade apprenticeship opportunities. What's interesting is Faith has spent over 20 years in the industry, starting out on the tools as a welder, fabricator, and also a heavy equipment operator, and then more recently working with STEP. So Faith, we are absolutely delighted to have you here because you can bring so many different perspectives, not just the employer perspective to this. So thanks for being here.
Thanks.
Also absolutely thrilled to have Heather is doing here. Heather has a wealth of experience, and we were able to connect briefly by email. She's working right now as a counselor and trustee, but owned and operated Papago Pizza in Hope. And previously, I believe it was Terrace or somewhere in the north, Heather.
Fort St. John, yeah.
Oh, Fort St. John. Okay, I had my location wrong. But for quite a few years. And Heather also is here as an individual who identifies having a disability. So has that experience of working in the workplace and also employing people in many different roles and now serving as a counselor trustee. So you really are situated in all three of the groups that we did our research with. Heather provides us with valuable insights into inclusion and DEI policy progress in education and municipal settings. And then also, of course, we'll bring the wealth of other experience. So thanks for being here, Heather.
Thank you.
And then Peter is someone that our paths have crossed for longer than we would care to probably put a number to, but it's been a super long time since I first met Peter. And so for more than 30 years, Peter's passion and focus has been helping people in the community develop their careers and is based in Hope. And so really well connected with the community that our research was conducted in, and research that Peter approached us to partner with him on. He is co-owner of Free Reign, and in that role oversees career-focused service delivery and special projects. And as I mentioned, was one of the driving forces behind this research. So welcome the three of you. And I'm hoping that we can find a way of pinning you so that you can stay visible to us. I'm trusting someone else can take care of that technology. So we're going to start, first of all, with a question that I'll ask each of you in order. And I'll give you maybe 1 to 2 minutes to respond. For most of the other questions, you'll have 2 to 3 minutes. But this one, try to keep your response a little bit short. So how do DEI-based practices and policies impact your work? And we'll start with Faith.
Sure, thanks. So STEP is the program that I work with, the Skilled Trades Employment Program, and all of our participants, as you mentioned, are from equity deserving groups. And the program is designed to help underrepresented groups get into the skilled trades. So DEI is a part of everything that we do, everything from the advice that we give to employers about hiring and addressing the skill shortage that we're facing in our industry, how we help our program participants alleviate barriers and access jobs, and how we train our staff. We provide DEI training to all of our team members, not just at STEP, but within the BC Construction Association, including like Indigenous cultural training on how to best support trans or non-binary job seekers, people with disabilities. And that helps us better understand the barriers and challenges that our program participants face and the people that are working in our industry. Excuse me, and it allows us to provide more tailored, suitable services and supports. If you zoom out and look at BC Construction Association, I mentioned the skill shortage being a major challenge for our employers in our industry. And we're addressing that by inviting groups that historically don't have a connection to construction to join our industry. So companies can't complain, about a skill shortage if they refuse to hire women, which is half the population. So this is a conversation we have all the time. And messaging around improving hiring practices and company culture to be more inclusive and diverse has become a huge part of our everyday work.
Great. And thanks for sharing that last little bit, Heather, because, for you as a welder, that would have been an underrepresented role. I have a daughter that began her career as a gas turbine helicopter technician in the test cell, pretty unusual for women, and the men weren't too keen on having her reject their repairs and sending them back to the drawing board. So yeah, it takes time to change a culture and to change thinking about what can and can't be done. Heather, I have the same question for you. How do DEI-based practices and policies impact what you're doing?
So I'll focus on the local government aspect of what I'm doing now. I've been doing that now for 10 years. And I've seen a great change in the way we practice in both the school board and on council. And so my role right now is to ensure that the policies reflect the diversity of my community, and that as we create these policies, we open up an avenue that is safe and welcoming to all employees as they apply for jobs, or how do they see themselves fit in. And so it's at the school district level, we're doing policy review and we're getting really great feedback. We're finding out what's working and what words are becoming more and more important to attract and retain qualified and equitable employees in the district, school district. And then on the municipal level, it is becoming more and more of a foundation of how we're practicing. And we're seeing a very nice, diverse workforce. So as it has been said already, we're not who we were yesterday. We are who we are today, but we're not who we're going to be tomorrow. And so we're working on these policies and progressing. Of course, there's areas for improvement. But what I'm noticing is that it's really important in both areas for people to see themselves in our employees, like to recognize that with our diversity, they can see themselves and feel that they can trust us and that they are welcome and safe. So these policies, I'm babbling a little bit because I kind of went from fight, flight to surrender. So I'm still in the surrender phase here. Sorry, this is new to me. And so, so that's my role right now, is to ensure that these policies actually reflect the environments that we want to create for our staff and make safe places.
Thank you so much for that, Heather. And what I really appreciated was your emphasis on making sure that the people in your community are reflected in the workplace. And that was a very real problem that we encountered in our research, because we would talk to very sincere people who shared that goal, but then would say to us, but there isn't anybody here that's, that isn't representatives. There isn't any of that type of people, whatever we might be talking about, a person with a disability or a person who was trans or whatever. And, we would be out on the street as strangers in that small community and see somebody that fit the exact description of what the person said, doesn't exist in this community. So there's that lack of awareness that holds people back. And Heather, that's the starting place, and saying, we're not where we were yesterday, we're not where we will be tomorrow, but we're moving in that direction. So thanks for that. Peter, over to you. How did DEI-based practices and policies impact your work?
Thanks, Roberta. Yeah, I think, as a small service provider in a small rural community, it can be quite challenging for us to find and employ people of diverse backgrounds. But it is essential that we continue to work on that, because as Heather mentioned earlier, we're working with the whole community. Everybody comes to us, whether they're a 45-year-old man who's been working in forestry for the majority of his career, or a youth who's just starting to seek work. But also we're seeing, the whole population, queer folk, people of color, people of all ages. And so it's important that our organization is made up of people from the community. And so a lot of the time we're bringing on people who aren't CDPs, simply because we can't find them, to be honest. But we're also taking that opportunity to train local people to do the work. And it's been really successful, because I think when a client comes through the door and sees that they're represented within the organization, they're able to build a trust relationship, and the credibility exists between the case manager or the receptionist and that newcomer coming into the building.
Thanks so much, Peter. And I've been in your workplace and seen that diversity represented, and also on our research team. We hired research assistants that brought lived experience to the work they were doing, and that enriched our project incredibly. So I'm really appreciative